Well, Governor Cuomo could be hitting a new snag with his budget proposal. Hispanic Democrats say they're going to oppose it unless he includes $25 million for the DREAM Act. That act would help illegal citizens who attend college. And the story is in the New York Post today, and the man who wrote it is joining us right now, our political analyst, Fred Dicker. And Fred, talk to us a little bit about what kind of impact this might have. And is this something that just came out of the blue, that they're vowing, the Hispanic Democrats say they're going to oppose the governor's budget if he doesn't include the money for the DREAM Act funding?
Well, the backdrop here, Liz, is that there's growing unhappiness with the governor on a part of the sort of left wing of his party. A lot of New York City Democrats don't think he's liberal or left wing enough for their taste. And this DREAM Act, which is very important to a lot of Hispanic lawmakers and mirrors the federal version of it, is something that really has been a rallying point for a lot of Hispanic and Puerto Rican, in particular, members of the legislature. They feel they have an opportunity here, and they do, with the governor running for re-election. He doesn't want to be criticized by people in his own party. He's very sensitive to criticisms he's already gotten. So the argument is that by saying publicly, or letting it get out publicly, as they did in my story here today, that they're going to publicly and in a high-profile way oppose the governor on his budget, it's an attempt to pressure the governor to put money into the budget for the so-called DREAM Act. Part of the problem, of course, from the governor's point of view, he's not been a big booster of it, but he supports it. But part of the problem is the Senate Republicans oppose it, say it's wrong to spend public monies on illegal people who are here illegally. So it's unlikely that it's going to get in the budget. The governor would have to trade something, I would think, with the Senate Republicans if he's going to have any chance at all of getting it in. But I doubt that they'll agree to it. So it may be an embarrassment. The Hispanic members of the legislature don't have enough votes to stop the budget, to defeat it. But it would be a high-profile embarrassment for the governor.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, just how much of an interference can this block cause?
Well, you know, keep in mind that Rob Astorino, the newly announced Republican hopeful for governor, is fluent in Spanish, and I dare say he may make some hay out of this. He was asked on Friday when he was here in Albany if he favored the DREAM Act, and he kind of ducked on that one. He said he wanted to see what the final details would be. So I think that he probably is eyeing this as a possible kind of wedge that he could use with some Democratic Hispanic voters, and I'm sure the governor has that in mind as well.
And do you think that this can have any legs? I mean, in terms of starting a trend where people who want things, knowing that the governor is somewhat a vulnerable position, not because he's likely to lose the election, but because he wants that big win, are going to act?
Liz, I think you're right. I think that trend or that knowledge is already there. Earlier today, we saw from the Senate Democrats that they're opposing a governor's proposal to reduce tax on banks. There's also a lot of unhappiness in the Assembly Democratic Conference with the governor's plan to freeze property taxes throughout the state. So I think it is fair to say that a lot of New York City Democrats are restless, that they're really more in sync with Mayor de Blasio than they are with Governor Cuomo. And they do see in an election year an opportunity to pressure the governor and try to push him further to the left than he already is.
And that was a role that we thought we upstaters held, or that more upstaters than downstaters held.
Well, in a way, that view, you're talking about upstate opposition to the property tax freeze, or the concerns over it.
Yes, and to the governor, the whole thing, yeah.
Well, it's a confluence of differing views on why this proposal is bad, but they're coming together to agree it is bad, but they're agreeing it's bad for different reasons.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
We'll figure that out another time.
I think so. Thanks, Fred. And Fred's on the radio, and maybe he'll be talking about that very point. He's live from the state capitol every weekday morning, 10 to 11 on Talk 1300 AM radio.